two things. First of all, we know, and we've documented it, that for decades, the mainstream media's notion of objectivity and balance led them to give greatly disproportionate attention to, the climate deniers, or to present representatives of the tobacco industry or the Cato Institute as if they were appropriate counterweights to the scientific community. And frankly, that still goes on, even with the latest.
Well, they're under pressure by these groups, as you say, who are trying to undermine scientific consensus and made to feel that they are not being fair if they don't put on these opposing voices.
Correct, and journalists have continuing to do that even today. And even I've spoken to journalists, and I hate to criticize journalists because,
oh, go ahead.
No, because I feel like the mainstream media is good to me. I get quoted a lot. My op-eds run in many prestigious newspapers, so I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. But nevertheless, this is still continuing even now. And the other thing has to do with the spectrum of the mainstream media, because yes, I acknowledge there is a tremendous amount of outstanding reporting in the Wall Street Journal. But it's also true that on the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, disinformation about scientific facts has been perpetuated for more than 20 years. And this is a tricky space because, of course, the opinion page, the editorial page, is the place where it's appropriate to express opinions. But when these editorials make factual claims that are untrue, then that does a lot of damage. And Fortune, Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, these have been major places in which what we could call, I don't know what the right word is, I don't want to be pejorative, but let me just put it this way. If I'm on an airplane and I get offered a free upgrade, I have this existential dilemma because I'd like to sit in a more comfortable seat, but I know there's a good chance that I'm going to sit next to a climate change denier. And why is that? Because it's a businessman.
So what do you do exactly?
I take the seat. No, I take the seat
and argue.
No, and no, I go into educational mode. I don't argue, but I ask.
It's a teachable moment.
It's a teachable moment. But no, but if one of these people says, well, why is it that you think I'll say that? And I have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, they will say, well, there was this editorial in the Wall Street Journal, or I read a very interesting article in Forbes. And then one more piece, and I'll pass. Or they say, well, in the last primary, Ted Cruz pointed out that global warming had stopped. And so this is the other piece that we haven't talked about. The way in which Republican leadership have picked up these arguments, and sometimes straight out of this right-wing echo chamber.